have these services close to the people? Can they come register with you guys and then start offering those services where they are?
Yeah, they can. We are just at we are finalizing on some requirements, like things to do with it's a big initiative, so we need to get it right on the data protection. We need to ensure the relevant documentation.
Okay.
But by end of this financial year, we'll be onboarding about 200 for pilot. And if someone is willing, in the new even financial year, as early as July, we should now be expanding to probably even the next 10,000 agents.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But swali yako ya kwanza ilikuwa incomplete.
Yeah, no, it's important that somebody responds to the question as they understand it. I don't think there's need for a presence in every county.
Yes.
But there's need for presence in every region.
Okay.
We are still a brick and mortar people. We we like to see buildings. We the government is usually housed in a building. If there's no building, then
there's no government.
How can there be government if there's no building?
Yes.
We also like to feel that we are seeing somebody who represents KRA, because then that person represents the authority of KRA. But that person also acts as the person. The standards that David is speaking of, there needs to be a body that is not near Nairobi, but nearer to those people and individuals who know what needs to be done, who are the reference points to whom these people can go to. Why am I saying this? That presence makes you friendlier. You're more acceptable because people can see you. People tend to respond in a more friendly manner to something they're familiar with.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. And you are right when you talk about the agents and people who are already trusted. It is so. But the body behind them is also it's absolutely important. That's why we have the idea of chiefs and we have the mjikumi, and
government is around.
Exactly. And in some of the areas where, for instance, they are vast and many of them are pastoralists, you have, I'm trying to remember what the current term is, but what we used to call home guards, people whose job, they're local villagers, okay? They're reservists, but they're armed. But they're ordinary people, okay, trained and armed. What am I saying? The need for something as important than taxes requires a local presence, not only from the entity, but from people within that community. And that one you've got spot on, it is right. Those are people who will open up the idea and for you to understand the full potential that KRA is seeking in that region. Because if you don't have people who live there and know what happens, explaining to you and walking you through these things, you will think you have an idea, but you probably don't. Now, which brings me to the next question.
Okay.
There is always this issue of allowable business expenses.
Yes.
How do you determine this? And are personal expenses, well, first of all, how do you differentiate these allowable business expenses from personal expenses?
Now, again, in this area of income and expense validation, for all businesses, they are also required when they go and incur expenses or buy certain goods or services from their suppliers. The first thing they need to do is they need to provide their PIN to the supplier so that the supplier can be able to book the invoice in their PIN and then, of course, transmit, and KRA can provide it. But now when it comes now to the business expense, at some point for the huge businesses, it's kind of easier to separate the two, because rarely will a company like, let's say, Safaricom spend something on a for a private nature, because I think it's already a business and all the expenses they are very structured. But especially for consultants, rather for individuals who have other sources of income, it's kind of you may need to separate the two. And give an example. You are let's say you are running a small consulting firm, or you are an auditor, an accountant, an architect. When you go maybe to the supermarket, you may realize you want to shop for both. So you want to shop for instead of paying twice. So you are buying a notebook, you are buying some stationery for the business, but also you want to add some unga and some for your and maybe even tea leaves for the house and tea leaves for the office. So you can always have a mix of that. So it's now what the commissioner now requires is the commissioner provides that when you are filing your returns for a business, you should only claim expenses which were fully incurred to generate your income for the business. So the commissioner has not gone to he has mentioned some of the expenses expressly. But of course, the normal expenses you incur in generating taxable income, most of them are ideally allowable. When you pay rent for your business, it's an allowable expense. When you pay, like the way you're being paid by your employer salaries and other things, it's an expense to them. It's a business expense. But of course, let's assume this building, it houses radio generation, but also there is, let's say, 2 rooms which are for the director. Maybe one of the directors has his own private
office
within the building. So you realize the landlord knows he has rented to radio generation, but 2 or 3 rooms in this floor
have got nothing to do with.
So again, that's now where things to do, like apportionment comes in. So you apportion the expense to the extent of what was incurred in generating taxable income. So the rule is a business expense incurred in generating your taxable income should be an allowable expense. But of course, we have a few other unique issues, but still they're unique to different sectors, but generally that is the rule. If you incur certain but now when it comes to a business, maybe again just is good for noting is we have 2 types of expenses. We have capital expenses. I know it's a bit of accounting, but it's good to separate the 2. We have capital expenses and we have revenue expenses. Now when your employer buys these computers,
yes,
the commissioner does not expect your employer to claim the cost of the computers in full.
Okay.
Because it's more of a capital item. Yes. So if you buy a building, you don't claim the building in. Like you go and knock it off like, hey, my income is 100 million. I bought a building of $1 billion. I claim the $1 billion. No. Certain capital expenses, you spread them.
Okay.
You claim, but spreading them at certain rates.
Okay.
But now certain revenue expenses like electricity, like rent. Now those ones again you claim them now as so again it's good to separate the 2, even so that you don't get yourself. Because we've seen even consultants buying laptops and they claim the full laptop cost as an expense, but you're supposed to spread it out. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good also to note that.
So then how will I know what to spread out at what point? Like, okay, when you say spread out, what do you mean? For example, if this laptop is worth 50,000, I spread it how? 10,000. I'm on a man charge.
Yeah, because now the commissioner has provided certain wear and tear rates, which you're supposed to use for certain capital items. So instead of claiming the full 50,000, you may realize the commissioner tells you, this one you claim 25% this year. So you end up claiming 12.5
for 4 years.
For 4 years.
Okay.
So instead of claiming the full, to a normal person, it's like this is an expense for this year. But yeah. So at some point, tax is a bit complex.
Yes.
And that's why at some point, depending on your business and the complexity, it's always good to, if you can, either seek clarity from KRA directly, or you can engage other consultants, depending on how much you believe you are able to even spend on that. Because at some point, better spend something small for more knowledge.
Yes.
And rather than you are caught having spent, you bought 4 laptops, you claimed 800,000, maybe the high-end laptops. Then maybe it's 4 years down the line. Now the commissioner is telling you in 2025 you're supposed to have claimed only 150,000 and not 800,000. You know how that conversation goes. So the 800 is disallowed. You now end up with a bill of maybe 30% of 800,000. Then penalties and interest. Then it becomes a very difficult. So it's, as much as possible, it's good to probably understand some basic. But carry again through their trainings, they keep on trying to explain some of these things. But and also other materials around.
If someone wants to understand all this, do they call you directly? Is there
by him you mean Kerry?
A number of touch points you can interact with us. We have the contact center. You can call us at the contact center. Our numbers are on the website 020-4999-4999.
Does the contact center work?
We can test it. It's good to test it on air.
I've actually called it.
You can test it as you go. Let's test
What's the number again?
020-4999.
020
49999.
499?
999.
Yeah.
hizi nani nyingi. 0204999999.
So we have the contact center. We also have presence on social media where our frontline can reach out to you and give you certain clarifications you need. We have our tax service offices. KRA is in each huduma, and maybe you come back even to the aspect of physical presence.
Right.
At least we are in each huduma center. We have our other again, I've said we are on social media. We have our tax service offices. You can get this information from any of them. And KRA is implementing something called a Huduma Popote initiative. So we are moving towards a better customer-centric service, a better customer-centric organization where you can go to any KRA office and you should be able to be served irrespective of where your PIN is mapped.
Okay.
So we are moving away totally from maybe you applied for your PIN when you're in the village.
Yes.
You didn't know the implication of selecting this county and this. So your PIN maybe is mapped, let's say, to Kisumu.
Yes.
And now you're in Nairobi.
Right.
So you realize this is where you are best. So when you go to a Nairobi station, we're expecting that you get services, including all the inquiries you need. Yeah. So it's good. So with that Huduma Popote, you can walk into any KRA service and get. And if that person is not able to serve you, they will get the correct person.
It works.
It works.
Yes, it does.
Oh, yes.
Wameshika simu?
It works.
Ujaambia sasa nilikuwa tu kujua mnafanyanga kazi.
Yeah, so yeah. But that's good. It's always good to test some of these things.
It works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
So now when I talk about it, I will talk about something that I've
Confidently.
tested. I can see this thing works.
And we didn't prep them that
No, they didn't know.
Sure, they didn't know we are going to.
No, they did because they're listening. Yes.
Wamesikia ati they are calling.
Drop all. Let's speak that one only.
Bless you. Yes.
Income from money market funds.
Yeah.
And hiyo ni kitu ya kudeclare kama income.
Again, we have certain types of income whose tax is we tend to say the tax deducted at source is final.
Yeah.
So all of us who have our saving plans in money markets, even fixed deposit accounts with banking institutions, basically interest income to all individuals, the withholding tax is final.
Yeah.
So any interest income you earn, whether it's from CBK on T-bills, T-bonds, and all those financial institutions, money markets, all that. So certain incomes are, the withholding tax is final. Even incomes from things like, I know, Kenya is a highly betting country, so those things, those income from
money from betting, for example.
What you earn,
So once that withholding tax is taken, that's it.
Yes.
So if someone hits a jackpot of 250 million, ile withholding which is what, 5%?
No, it was
you're betting in Awanga what?
It was
15%.
Initially, because now on betting some things have changed. Initially, we used to tax the winnings.
Yes.
But from with the recent Finance Act, we've moved from taxing the winnings. The government has changed the winning. Let's say
because the last time you deposit the money,
inakatwa immediately.
You withdraw if you've won the tax.
Inakatwa hapo.
That's clever.
Yeah. So we moved from winnings because now we are just what is coming in the wallet and what is coming out is now what is being but now with that 250 initially we could have taxed you. I think it was about 20%. It will be final, but of course movie we understand you can't eat to 50 million. So the next bit will be more where are you investing the 250 million.
Why can't I
eat kama utakuwa tu na withdraw utaweka tu kwa mobile wallet utakuwa tu na withdraw of which 20,000 every hour. So I think where you are going to invest it now most likely will bring you now to the tax bracket. So I think it's not that you are really let off. You rarely,
for me,
you rarely eat 200 million. Just like
you can't eat at
you mostly
once.
invest in a few things here and there.
But the question here is, do I declare it in my returns?
No. Again, even things like interest from just I said interest income to individuals, the withholding is final, so we really don't require you to declare in the
all right.
So
pale nikianza kufile returns zangu si sitasema ati hapa hivi nilishinda 250 million jackpot.
Okay. Return italeta liability ingine ujai. you might faint and require first aid services at that point.
Wewe unasema
mimi sina pa.
Nianze kuimba kama nani Mbosso. Yeah, so that one at least you've need, but you know, because the other sources of income that Kenyans make, for example, chama money. So we have this merry-go-round, and I receive my money this month. I have received 100k from my chama. Do I have to declare that one?
Now again, it depends. It depends more of how it comes, because if you are chama, you know, chamas can also even invest the chama money in, and I've seen certain chamas doing that. They invest the money in T-bills, T-bonds, and now they are just redistributing the interest to the to the members. So that's different. But if a chama maybe is involved in an actual business, then it looks like now it's more of a business entity than it's planting tomatoes, and now when you make the profit, then now you get a certain, now that again could be taxable. So it just depends what is the main object of the chama.
So if me and my chama members open a supermarket, then now that's different. That's
different.
That's
not
chama.
That's a good chama. But now you may realize, or even on that again, it depends, because the chama might now probably be required to pay taxes on that supermarket income, and if they are distributing now the income out of taxed profits, then that there is that's probably something different. So maybe it may be dividends or something else, so it might be taxed now depending on how the distribution is happening of the profits.
So allowable expenses, once again, maybe you can just let us know, because of that when someone is filing their returns, they know that this is what I am allowed to declare as an expense.
In fact, in this era, it's good also to understand that not all expenses should be supported by an electronic tax invoice. And the the tax laws have made it very clear. Not all business expenses must be supported by an electronic tax invoice. So expenses like emoluments, salaries and wages, they are not supposed to be supported by an electronic tax invoice. Expenses like imports, expenses like airline passenger ticketing, expenses like the wear and tear and investment allowances.
So I can just declare those
ones you declare them, but now what we require our taxpayers to do is we have provided very specific fields for those exemptions in the return. So they should use those specific fields.
No nanga pale kuna hanga na transport.
Sasa usipeleke
internet.
Usipeleke import kwa internet hapo. If you do that, then the system will validate it against your e-teams invoices. But if you claim your exempt expenses, the salaries, the wages, the interest, the fees charged by financial institutions, there's quite a whole list of some expenses which you should not support them with an electronic tax invoice, but you should claim them in the specific fields provided. The system will allow you to file without supporting them with an electronic tax invoice. But now the other business expenses, the rule of thumb is a business expense is just more of an expense which has been wholly incurred to generate the taxable income of the. So it can be anything. It can be you bought tea leaves for your staff to take tea. You know, it comes to very. It depends on the business line or the sector. Again, certain sectors might have unique expenses, but that can be a very good rule of thumb for everyone. That an expense you are claiming for the business should be fully incurred, not partially, not partly.
Fully incurred by the business.
Wholly incurred, actually. The word the tax laws refer to is wholly incurred.
So
meaning if there's some aspect of not wholly, it has not been incurred wholly, then you only claim the partial bit which are
in terms of tax compliance, when someone wants to get their tax compliance certificate, and then they're unable because they're told in 2018 you filed your taxes in a certain way, and actually you're now told you owe KRA some 30k somewhere, and maybe it was just an error an error in the application of that, rather in the filing. So now what happens? This happened in 2018. Now you're looking to do this business and you're told you need a TCC. TCC now ndio unaambiwa hapa 2018 rudi kwanza usort your issue.
When you apply for a tax compliance and the liability is erroneous, KRA has provided mechanisms where you can file an amended return.
Okay.
So you can come and file an amended return, communicate to the commissioner that I captured the wrong income. It could be employment income, it could be business income, or maybe I underclaimed some certain expenses. So you can file an amended return, but there are timelines around it. You should file an amended return within 5 years of the date you filed the original
someone
return.
who did it in 2018, he shall Peter.
But still, certain scenarios, KRA can still consider certain unique scenarios.
Basically, unasema kuja tuongee.
Basically,
unaambia these people come tuongee.
If you have a unique one which is beyond 5 years, you can still engage KRA for, and there are certain scenarios, certain circumstances where we can consider that. So once you file that amended return, if it is reducing your liability, for sure it will go through an approval process. You will be required to upload the supporting documentation where applicable. Once it is approved, your erroneous liability will be reversed, and you can continue with the tax compliance certificate. But you can still even apply the tax compliance certificate even as the KRA is looking into your amended return process. It doesn't mean that you must have it approved.
Yes.
You can pursue the two together. So that but it's good you pursue it to completion so that next year you're not again in the same space of explaining the same 2018. But good news for the people who are employed. For the people who are employed, KRA has made we've done amendments of returns auto-approved by the system. So anyone who is employed, you can amend your returns, introduce mortgage, introduce your insurance relief you forgot, maybe you needed to apply for a refund. You can log into iTax and file the amended return. And if it's only employment income only, the system is going to auto-approve it, whether you are increasing or reducing liability. So that's a good thing for the employed Kenyans who wameshikilia serikali.
Thank you so much, David. That's all the time we had today. That has been a very interesting conversation. Sasa tumejua mambo ya tax kwa wenye wako wanataelewa. Sasa wamejua. Na umewapatia namba ya kupiga in case they have further questions.
And it went through. City should confirm again.
No, it did. 020 499 Yes.
Mimi ninaongeanga na KRA sana. Hizi namba zao hata kwa ofisi zao kuna watu nikifika huko wananiambia buda kuja tukunywe chai.
Actually, we are coming up with the organization is exploring a shorter number. Like maybe a 3-4 digit number.
But this one is easy.
But also that one
look, if they can have it 344, you call that number in India.
See if you can get a 3 or 4 digit number.
Okay. All right, this is where we're coming to a stop. Do stand by, because in the next hour we want to talk about you know what, I'll actually tell you what we're talking about in the next hour. In the next hour.
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Police in Moyale have arrested a 33-year-old man suspected of involvement in human trafficking. The suspect, identified as Festus Omwamba, had been on police radar and is believed to be a key member of a wider trafficking syndicate. Detectives say the group targets vulnerable individuals by promising them legitimate jobs in the European countries. However, once abroad, the victims allegedly end up in illegal and dangerous work, putting their safety and dignity at risk. Several experts, including Control of Budget and the Auditor General, have raised concerns over the proposed 5 trillion shillings National Infrastructure Fund. In a statement to the National Assembly's Finance Committee, during public participation on the National Infrastructure Fund Bill 2026, Control of Budget Margaret Nyakango said the fund has been set up as a corporate entity instead of a public fund, a move she warns could make it vulnerable to misuse.
But then, for example, if we were to privatize KICC, for example, how will we determine if that money will go into NIF or it will go to the consolidated fund?
An independent statutory oversight body to supervise the National Infrastructure Fund to enhance credibility, transparency, and fiscal discipline. And here we suggest strengthening the governance, transparency, and accountability by establishing an independent board, professional management, and robust reporting and audit mechanism to build investor confidence.
The Kenya Wildlife Service is warning Kenyans against eating bushmeat after major seizure in Gikambura, Kiambu County. KWS says the illegal bushmeat trade is increasing and is putting people at risk. The agency warns that bushmeat is not inspected or approved by the veterinary officers, meaning it can spread dangerous diseases to consumers. In a statement released on Wednesday, KWS said that apart from being illegal, selling and eating bushmeat poses serious health and safety risks. The government has released 7 billion Kenya shillings for the reconstruction of Nithi Bridge in Tharaka Nithi County, with works expected to commence in the coming weeks. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has announced. Speaking on Wednesday, Kindiki said the new bridge will be constructed urgently to curb frequent accidents along the notorious black spot on the main road linking Tharaka Nithi and Meru counties.
Tumepata pesa bilioni 7 ya kutengeneza daraja kubwa ambayo ilikuwa imeua watu wengi sana hapa Meru County na Tharaka Nithi, daraja ya Nithi ambao watu wetu wamekufa pale. Tumeanza ujenzi wa Nithi Bridge ambayo itagharimu serikali ya Kenya 7 billion shillings na daraja itatoka juu pale Malima.
Brazil's Supreme Court has convicted 2 former lawmakers for ordering the 2018 killing of Rio de Janeiro councilwoman Marielle Franco. Franco, who was 38 years, was shot dead in Rio alongside her driver, Anderson Gomez. She was a popular black activist who grew up in a favela. Her killing shocked Brazil and sparked protests at home and abroad. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
Sports on Radio Generation.
Good morning, I'm Samuel Otieno. The Real Madrid midfielder Aurelio Tchouameni says a 2-1 win over Benfica to reach the Champions League last 16 was a victory against racism. The French midfielder was speaking after Wednesday night's match at the Santiago Bernabeu, where Vinicius Jr. scored Madrid's second goal. The tie had been overshadowed by alleged racist abuse directed at Vinicius during their first leg in Portugal. Tchouameni admitted Los Blancos did not play their best football, but said some things are bigger than the game. Kenya's female rally drivers Pauline Chegu and Lynette Ayuko have exuded confidence ahead of the much-anticipated Safari Rally scheduled for Naivasha on March 12th to 15th this year. This is after a 1 million boost from the Kenya Power and Lighting Company. Speaking in Nairobi during their check presentation, the duo said the support will enable them cover key rally needs preparations.
It's very nice to us to see our very own and also our partners who have come to join the energy sector to support us in this whole process. And we assure them, by the grace of God, we'll push that car to the end, to the podium. We want to see all of you coming to the podium to just celebrate with us, because of course you've seen since 2023, 2024, 2025, we've been pushing to the finish podium.
And that's your sports update on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Samuel Otieno.
Sports on Radio Generation. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you and welcome back to Radio Generation. The time right now is 8 minutes past 8 o'clock. How are you doing? Salamu ziwafikia wale wote najua tunakuanga tukiongea asubuhi. We are currently facing some issues on the internet, but don't worry. You can still catch us on terrestrial, and you can also catch us on our website, that is radiogeneration.co.ke. We are currently hosting in studio a gentleman who goes by the name of Francis Njiraini. He is the director, SEIDO, and county director, McKenna Children Foundation. He's going to be telling us all about that. But before he does that, City has got this methali he'd like to share with you, Francis. Francis, good morning.
Morning.
Uko salama kabisa?
Yes.
All right. So Siti akona proverb,
Okay.
and he wants to share it with you. It's from the country of Zambia.
Okay.
And perhaps you can tell us what you think, or rather how you interpret this particular proverb. So Siti, over to you.
Yes. The proverbs from Zambia actually very fairly straight forward and easy to understand. This one talks about luck. If your luck deserts you, even cold food burns.
Okay.
Yeah.
If your luck deserts you, even cold food burns.
Very, very interesting proverbs.
Yeah.
And I think, at high level, it means that, when you're not lucky, unfortunately, many things will go wrong. When they say when it rains, it pours.
It was.
Yeah.
Guess what? I actually said that when you told me about that mechanic.
Is it?
Ulimwambia when it rains. My friend, it was.
Yeah. Yeah. But it also kind of try to remind us that maybe we don't control everything. And I think it's Aristotle who said that, look, sometimes what we call chance or luck is actually God remaining anonymous behind the scene.
Actually, I've never thought of it that way. Hey, when what God remains anonymous when what happens?
So when you're lucky,
yes,
or or coincidence, most people it was coincidence.
Yes,
I'm in studio today. It was coincidence.
Yeah.
This happened to me. It's actually God remaining anonymous. Seriously, He's putting together all that together for you.
Yeah.
But we don't realize it. So our best is like it was coincidence. It's luck. And that's why I love that method, because it's sort of give us that perspective.
Lovely translation.
And kweli kabisa.
Nimeipenda sana. I once had an argument with one of my buddies. I think it was in high school or campus. I can't remember. But we were talking about God and luck. And this person was telling me, look, there's nothing like luck in the world. God doesn't take chances, because when you say you're lucky, it's like there was a probability, there was a chance that things would have gone differently.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, no, God si Mungu wa luck. Mungu ni Mungu juu anasemanga kitu na inafanyika. And I was like, interesting perspective as well. All right. So Francis Njiraini, you are the director of SEIDO. What is SEIDO?
SEIDO is a global multinational consulting company.
Yes.
And what we do, we help organizations by connecting the different departments. We're using technology and innovation. We use a product called SAP. It's from Germany.
Yes.
And what we try to do is to say, look, how can you ensure that you have visibility of every aspect of what's happening in the organization? Are my team selling? My operations, what am I buying? How am I selling? And those kind of things. So that's really SEIDO. But obviously before SEIDO, I'm a husband to my lovely wife,
yes,
Queen Jeraini.
Right.
Okay. And I'm a father to 3 children, Rene, Angelina, and Ryan. And I'm a caring son and sibling. Okay.
Yes. All right. There's something you've said about SAP. It's an ERP, right?
Yes.
And that, because I've actually seen it being used by several organizations.
Yes.
And you guys are actually taking advantage of this ERP system.
Yes.
Okay.
It's an ERP, but what ERP means is just a big word. Tech, we like coming up with things to scare you.
Yes.
When you say ERP, it's enterprise resource planning. It's just to make sure that we connect all the different aspects of your organization. Think of if you are a business that you trade, you import things, okay, and you bring them. So you want to know, what am I buying? So that we call that procurement. So you need to be able to control that.
Yes.
Then when you bring them, we call that stocks. So they need to sit somewhere. And then when they sit somewhere, then you need to sell them. Okay, so we have a system that will help you to make decision. What do I buy? How much do I buy? I bring it in. Where do I stock it? Then who am I selling to? So you track all that. And then, of course, as the owner of the business, you also need to know overall. Yeah. How is all that coming in together? And that's what an ERP does. Yeah. So it just helps both sides. You're spending, you're earning, but it's bringing everything together for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what an ERP does.
Yeah. All right. Now, tell us a little bit more about Makena. It's Makena Children?
Yes.
Yes.
So what we do here is we help needy but bright children from one area. We actually started like a social experiment.
Yes.
Been there for 20 years. And what we do is we take a bright kid and we take them through school for 13 years. So we take them from grade 4 to university. Yeah, so we don't take many kids because of it's a long-term engagement.
Yes.
And we keep it simple. So we get a sponsor from the US and we match you. So let's say you, Mr. Mbuvi, you don't want to sponsor a family, a kid, and then you give you a kid, and then you work with them journey for 13 years.
Wow.
And the investment is about 2,500 every year.
2,500 shillings?
Dollars.
Oh, dollars.
Yeah.
Every single year.
Every single year. For community. So a sponsor coming on board, like, okay, you're going to need to spend 2,500 for the next 13 years. Is that something you're willing? It's per annum.
Okay.
That's something you're willing to do. And then the money is wired to the school. All we do is a small admin. My brother helped me run this. Also, my wife helped me to run this. Yeah.
How many students, how many children have you assisted through this particular foundation?
Would say so far we have about the one who've more or less completed. Would say about 60 kids.
Yes.
So because it's a long term, we take them and what we wanted to say, we're asking ourselves, if you go to a village and you pick kids from each home, very, very nuclear area, then you take them through school, what the impact of that village 20 years down the line, 40 years down the line.
Okay.
And that's a social experiment we are doing. We're about to actually get more because we've gotten a few people coming on board.
Yes.
We've not grown so much because we want a long-term commitment.
Yeah.
You're
also a cancer survivor. And you were just telling us about this cancer that afflicted you. Maybe now, for the benefit of the listener, tell us about it.
Yeah, so it was just a Tuesday morning. My wife and I are going to a normal regular checkup. We went to the hospital. I had done a test earlier, so we were going to check the results, and my wife came with me. And the doctor said, I have good news and bad news.
This is not the doctor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, good news, bad news. I always go, bad news first.
Yes.
let's deal with the bad news. And the doctor said, look, you have a growth, and the growth is malignant. I paused, and my wife looked at me and as if to ask me to wake up from this dream. Could this be true? And I thought the doctor must have
mixed up something.
It cannot be me. And I remember, I still remember it vividly. When we walked out of the doctor's room,
yes,
we walked to the hallway. There's a hallway there, and on the hallway, near the lift, on the lobby of the lift, there's a whole glass. And what shocked me is when I looked at there's an interchange, a road there, an intersection of a busy road, two big roads in Nairobi, and we could see cars driving, people walking, the streets were bustling. It's like the whole world is moving on,
apart from your world.
Now, and that's where really the big question that came to me, and that question, why me, stayed with me for a long time.
What was the good news?
The good news was, like the doctor said, look, it might respond well. We caught it early. The good news, we caught it early. And he said that, look, that specific cancer, it's nasopharynx. It was behind the nose. There's a opening there. Between the nose and the brain, there's a space there. It's also risky because it's just next to the brain.
Yes.
It's just next to the brain, but it responded well. So the doctor was sort of giving a bit of hope to say, look, there's hope. There's this bad news, but there's this hope.
Okay.
But I remember at the lobby there, just why me? Out of 7 billion people, this is 2019, so we were 7 billion. Why would he choose me? Why my family? That was shocking. And just seeing the whole world moving, like nothing has happened. I think that was, for me, the biggest shock.
Now, for you,
go ahead, Philip.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Yeah. So for you to have even gone to the hospital that morning, what was the issue?
So what had happened is that actually a few, I would say probably a month back, I'd actually had a cold. And I went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I missed my doctor. And it turned out that probably was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yes.
Because if I'd met my usual doctor,
I
knew even the prescription I'll come home with. So I've gone to the hospital with the same sort of scenario. You're cold, I'll get antihistamine, I'll get a bit of, having a pain, I'll get some painkillers.
Yes.
But this specific day, I missed the doctor. And then I saw a different doctor. And the doctor said, let's do a CT scan. And that CT scan, it was a totally different doctor. It's a new doctor. I was saying that I knew the doctor, but I never saw them for this.
Yes.
So the doctor said,
you had never consulted with him?
I've never consulted with this new doctor, but he just said, he looked at me and said, let's do a CT scan. So I did, later on, I did ask her, why did you ask me? Because initially, even my wife said, this is like such a why using a hammer to kill a mosquito?
Exactly.
You know. So, but then later, you know, we realized actually there is a reason she did us that.
Which
it was just God again. It was that chance. She took a chance. She didn't know or even how what, you know, she didn't think that, but she just felt, let's do a CT scan.
You know, a CT scan is not 2 shillings, eh?
Yeah.
Because I've actually I've done a CT scan before.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact it's not an expense. You're told enda pale kwa lab
Yes.
wakuangalie then
Yes.
you have got to be prepared for a CT scan,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now this particular doctor, you presented yourself with these cold symptoms.
Yeah, just usual. And I've done this many
Common
times.
cold, yes.
This is a common cold. I was blocking, which I had done previously. And as I told you,
Yes.
I knew even what I would work with before, because I've done this before. I knew exactly.
Actually, let me be honest.
Yeah.
Me, whenever I have a cold, I don't even go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Literally walk into a chemist.
You're a doctor now.
Get myself some antihistamines and a
Yes.
painkiller, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this other doctor, it's a female doctor, yeah?
Yes,
Because I
female
called
doctor.
her.
Yeah.
So she told you, can you do a CT scan
Yes.
for a cold?
Because of my blockage, I
Yeah.
think maybe she looked. She's an
okay.
ENT. Maybe she looked and she's like, okay, you know. So, look, for me, I'm so glad that she
did it.
She
Yes.
did that, even if she did whatever, whether she did it in right or whatever. Because again, going back to Proverbs, CT asked, you know, chance. You know, is this chance? Is this coincidence that I was asked to do a CT scan? I don't think so. You
Okay.
know, yeah.
So you were diagnosed. They found this malignant growth in your nose. What was the next step now after you went through the shock?
So after through the shock, that day they had asked us, okay, do several tests. They said do this different. So the whole day we had actually gone in the morning. So we did test the most of the day, and then we didn't even realize we didn't have lunch. So by evening, around, it was even 7 o'clock thereabout. I can't remember the exact time. We said, look, let's have a bite. We walked into Java, and as we sat, I was so hungry. So I got the menu and I quickly chose what I was eating. But I realized. Then once I figured out what I needed to order, I looked up, and I realized my wife hadn't even opened her menu.
Yeah.
And asked her what's going on, and she said she was writing something down. I said, look, what are you writing? And she said she was writing a list of names. She felt maybe we should talk to these people before we walk on this journey, because this is the journey we never felt.
Yeah.
And we call that the name of five, the name of 5 list. Okay, the 5 list, you know, and I'm telling you, the perspective we got talking to these 5 different people, their wisdom, the ideas they gave us really affected our journey. And I talk about it in the book.
Yes.
We call those, and now I have a name. I didn't have a name then, but we call those divine helpers. You know, so God has put in your path divine helpers who will show up
at your time of need.
At a time of need, and they will help you. But you need to recognize that.
Yes.
Because you can easily pass them. So we spoke to those people. So we decided we're not going to do anything. And immediately on that table, we made the first call. The first person was outside the country, so we actually called them on the phone, and we had a conversation.
Okay, and you broke this news to them.
We broke this news to them, and I'm telling you, and that's why I'm saying a divine helper is critical, because we've never walked through this journey. But this person was our friend. She was in the medical field, so she understood a bit. So when we spoke to her, she told us something very profound. She said, before you commit to any treatment, think about the quality of life after treatment. I've never thought about that. I thought if you're sick, you just go to treatment. He said, no, this is not those sickness where you just go to treatment, because there will be an impact. There likely to be an impact. What's the quality of life look like? And she said, based on what you're telling me about the scenario you have, your chance is get the best technology possible. Get the best technology. If you get the latest technology, they're likely that you'll have a better quality of life after treatment. So I'm like, okay, that was interesting. Another divine helper we met said, look, recovery is so critical. Okay? They had seen so many people go through treatment. When they get better, they go back to work. They said, no, try. You know, people take treatment seriously.
Yes.
When you're going through treatment, you'll find that they actually going to treatment. Once they get better, no one think about recovery. It's like, I'm good now. You go back to work. But he said, look, recovery time is as important as treatment, because your body is beaten, your body is weak. You need to recover, you need to restore.
Yes.
And I think we never felt anything like that.
Okay.
So that was again profound.
Now, in terms of the treatment that you received, what treatment was it? Was it chemo? Was it radiotherapy? Was it surgery? Or was it a combination of all?
So it was a combination. And what happened again? One of the divine helpers said, look, one of the 5 names my wife had written down. She said, look, I know someone. This person helped research on hospitals around the world, and they could get you, based on your case, they get you the best hospital. And they did the research for us. And because for us, we needed technology, the best technology. So we looked at the technology in Kenya at that point, this about 7 years ago. You'd have a big, the quality of life would not be as great as if you use the latest technology. So we had to go to India.
Okay.
And this person helped us research, shortlisted the hospitals. We also came up with the criteria, and that's how we ended up in India. It was a combination of radiotherapy and chemo. And it was interesting that you've gone, okay, you don't go for cold to the hospital. You go to hospital for something else,
yes.
okay? But when you go to hospital, you go once, okay? Maybe twice or thrice. But in this case, you go on Monday. I had a session at 7:30 in the morning. And you go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, week 1. Week 2, week 3. It's become a new job.
Yeah, it's like a month. It's an occupation now.
Second month, like, no ways. This is becoming, you woke up today, you came to job.
Yes.
So you wake up and you go to hospital. And that become your new normal. So it can have a toll on you, because this is not what we do.
How long were you in India for?
4 months. I was in India for 4 months. My wife came with me, and I'm really grateful that she did.
Yes.
We left our kids. Our kids were young. Our youngest was 3 years old, our son. The other one was 9 and 16, but we left them. My sister stayed with them, so I was very...
so 16 years, 9 years...
And 3.
And then 3 years.
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and we left them here for 4 months. We were there for 4 months. After 2 months, my wife came back just for a week to check on the kids. But predominantly she stayed with me, and that again something that was really profound. When we said, okay, we realized we're going to be Indian, they said, look, they told us 3 months, okay, but the treatment, the plan they gave us, but they added 1 more month.
Okay.
But then for my wife, she said, look, I'm coming with you. And for me, I'm like, what happened to the kids? Like, no.
Wako sawa.
This critical.
So was it, if you compare the prices, because it's a question that a lot of people consider, of course, before they decide to go abroad for treatment.
Yes.
Do you think you would have spent more had you been treated here or less?
I would have spent more here.
Okay.
I would have spent more here.
All right.
Yeah. The price there was better. I've not checked the pricing now, but the pricing there was better. The care was also, the doctors were really concerned. Also, as a team, the doctors work mostly as a team, but also here I'm happy that now we also have a board, because cancer is not something that should be treated by one doctor.
Yes.
It's a team of doctors. So people are always consulting and discussing and saying, okay, what's the best option? Maybe we try this. No, someone saying, no, but have you thought about this? It's a team effort, and that needs to be the case. And I'm very happy that we are catching up now.
Yeah.
We actually have a very good, there's a board, so once you get a diagnosis, before any treatment is recommended, a board is supposed to sit and review that. And I think one of the leading hospital here has that board. And I hope all the hospitals can adapt that.
The reason I'm asking these questions is because I saw it with my mother. She's also a cancer survivor. And I remember she was treated by very many doctors, from, a dietitian, an endocrinologist, there was a surgeon, madaktari walikuwa wengi, and then of course our oncologist. Wote walikuanga hapo just to ensure that she was treated. She did her treatment here in Kenya, and luckily everything went well. Now, for you were inspired to the point of writing a book.
Yes.
Tell us about the book.
All right. So what inspired me? So I thought what we had gone through, when initially had gone through, I only started writing this book a year after we came back. And let me go back first. During treatment, you go to hospital every day. So when I came from hospital, what I did was I'll either sleep or eat. So at that point, I decided to I need to do something. So what I did, I journaled. So every day I'll journal, and I'll journal what I was feeling and what I was thinking and what was going through my mind. And I think it helped me, every day, it was more of what has happened today. Today we went, did this, I saw this doctor, this is what the doctor said, this is how my body is responding, this is what happening. Yeah. So when I finished, when I came back here, I felt about and I thought, I want to write a book for my children. This is actually a book I wrote for my kids. And I felt I want them to know what you had gone through, and I want them to know what you have overcome. I want them not to ever forget, okay, what God had done for us. So this was more of, something for, for my kids, for future generations.
For posterity.
For posterity to know that, look, bad things might happen. Difficult moments will come in your life. You're not immune. Just because your dad went through this, you're not immune. Something might happen, but there's good news. You can overcome. And throughout the process, I discovered something, what I call the 7 priceless gifts. And I felt maybe I also want to share this because it might help someone out there. So it's sort of, those are the 2 main reasons why I wrote the book for my children, and to pass on these 7 priceless gifts that helped me throughout the journey. And you know what? If I can help my kids, might help someone else out there.
Yeah. Okay, let me just read the title for them. It is a One Christian Man's Journey to Beat Cancer: The 7 Priceless Gifts That Led Me to Remission.
Yes.
Yeah. 7 priceless gifts. Do you care to name them for us?
Yeah. So the first one is divine helpers. So what we just discussed about. So God will put you specific people along the way. The second one is unconditional love. My wife was there for me, and my family was there for me, and I saw what that did. Because they loved me, there's sort of almost reciprocity. I want to be there for them. And it gave me hope. And I realized something interesting about hope. Hope gives you joy. If someone promises you and say, you know what, at the end of this show, I'm going to do this, or this Christmas, you tell your kids, this is what's going to happen. They'll
be excited, there will be anticipation.
Yeah, and you know what joy has? It brings strength. And that's what you need. So that was interesting. So the third one is what I call life-giving, actually health. Okay. Health is priceless. And, and the way to think about health is to say, how much money, okay, Mr. Mbuvi, would you be willing to get to give away, to give up your health?
For me to receive this money me, and then I give
up your health. Yeah.
It's like there is no amount of money.
Yeah,
there is absolutely no amount. Last week I was I'm still struggling with my left foot, but it's getting better. And I can assure you, it was a very uncomfortable moment.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want to go back to that point. Hata munipatie pesa ngapi. Right now someone offers me $1 billion to cut off my foot.
Yes.
Kana yo billion yako.
Yeah, you say exactly. So divine help us so far, then unconditional love, then health. And you've just confirmed that it's priceless.
Yes.
And then we have family. I realize the power of family. It's quiet. That support, it has a it has really big impact on that. Okay. And then we have life-giving nutrition. And I'll talk more about life-giving nutrition because that now has become my passion. And I won't tell you more about it. Okay. But I want to finish them. Then purpose. Your mission in life, purpose. And then eternity. So those are the 7 priceless gifts. Okay. Divine helpers, unconditional love, health, family, life-giving nutrition, purpose, and eternity.
All right.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about technology and why it was a key consideration in determining where it is you wanted to get the medical help. What do you mean by technology?
So some treatment like radio, radio uses technology. So it's sort of a beam, radiotherapy. So what you're looking there is a sort of a laser. So it's a machine. So you need to have a machine so think of a laser like a torch, So I can have a torch, so it's going to beam you, or I can have a laser that's very specific. Because it was behind the nose, it meant that if I have something like it's a torch, it will also destroy a lot of things there. There are many glands around it. The face is very sensitive. There's so many things around there. So there's saliva glands, that's how you have saliva, the hair. There's so many things there. So you want something as sharp as possible so that you target the growth and you spare the rest of the things, because you still get better. Most of those treatment will be fine, but then it's a quality of life after. In fact, I remember one of the doctor telling me when we were discussing this, and he said, yeah, we can give you treatment, but you may not have saliva, or you have very little saliva going forward. I'm like, quality of life, when you're thinking about it, I'm glad our Divine Help had told us about, quality of life. Because then you're like, can you imagine when you dry up?
In your mouth, yes.
In your mouth, how difficult that is. So quality of life is significant, and we have to investigate. And we have to ask, if you are going through the journey, I would encourage, when you're talking to the doctor, ask them, what's the quality of life? This treatment you're giving me, in this case, radiotherapy is technology, chemo is medicine.
Yeah.
So, just normal medicine they put you. In fact, when I went in, like, okay, I wanted to know what is this chemo, and then I realized just a medicine. It's just normal medicine they're giving you, but with a regiment, with a certain protocol, so quality of life is key.
Okay, that's as far as technology is concerned, right?
Yes.
You see, are we saying that in the time that you went to India, that sort of technology is now available in Kenya?
Yes, I think there are many things that have changed since then. We have better technology now. So it's just upgrading machines. It's just having the latest equipment.
And having people who are trained sufficiently to be able to use them properly.
Let me give you another example. Even by then, when I had this treatment, we did also have PET scan. One of the leading hospitals was introducing PET scan. Right now, the good news is, I was just told the other day, we have more than 5 hospitals.
Yes, we do.
With PET scan, So if I look at the last 5-7 years, there's been so much progress.
Part of the challenge with some of this equipment is the cost.
Yes.
They are prohibitive.
Yes.
It's not as though, it's not like going to buy milk in the shop here to go and just order. It's something that the investment is, should we say, concerning. But given what we now face in this country, and given that cancer is considered to be a very huge challenge, a very huge healthcare challenge, then I think those who are in the healthcare provision business understood that perhaps the investment was worth their while. Quality of life after care. This particular friend of yours, the medical doctor, that was very, very sound advice. Because one of the things that we experience, read about, and talk about is infections that people actually get while they are in hospital, post-surgery infections, and it kills people. The person was fine, the surgery was fine, then they get an infection.
It's true.
When they are in hospital, and that is now what brings about problems. I know because I've had a relative die of it recently, so I know.
So sorry about that.
No, death comes to all of us. You talk of divine. When it is your time, it is your time.
And I have something around it. And maybe it's a good thing to talk about it. One of the 7 priceless gifts is eternity. And I'm glad CT brought it up. When you face what I was facing, it's mortality. You're confronted, you have to ask yourself certain questions. And one of the questions I asked myself was, is eternity real? And I came up to this conclusion. There are only 2 options. It's either eternity is not real or it is real. Let's go with the first option. Eternity is not true. Then what happens?
You go to darkness, oblivion.
When you close your eyes for the last time,
nothingness.
Nothing. And everyone, it's the same for everyone. So you lose nothing. But what if eternity is true?
Yeah.
And
life after death.
And there's life after death. And that was the first thing I looked at. The other thing I looked at is, other than journaling, when I was going through this sickness, what I did is I read the Bible because I had the time. And one of the things I saw is that it's something I call divine precision. And it's very interesting. Did you know that, Mr. Mbuvi, God knew you before the foundation of the earth?
Yes.
Do you know how many years are those?
I can't count them.
Can't even count them.
Yes.
We call that infinity. Okay. So draw with me a line, a horizontal line.
Yes.
Okay. 4 points on it. The left side, extreme left, is infinity. Extreme right is infinity. Then the 2 points is 0 and x. So I have infinity to 0, 0 to x, and x to infinity. Now, God knew before infinity. That's what you just told me. Infinity before foundation. Then he knew when you were being formed in your mother's womb. 0 is birth, when you were born.
Yes.
And then something interesting he tells us there, that all your days were ordained before one of them became to be.
Yes.
So before even you stepped on this wall, we knew how many days you're going to be there. So that X, The only thing is we don't know the X. X is the day you die. So you have infinity to 0, life before, 0 to X, life on earth, and X to infinity, eternity. Now, what is interesting is, and this is a question even stated, do you know how many people have to be born before so that you can be born? Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. Just think about it. There were so many people that had to be born.
For you to be
you to be born. My dad died when I was 14, and I was angry at God. That's the time we needed him most. How could he do that? But then when I understood the divine precision, I realized Dad had a timeline. You know, there was his 0 and X. Okay, and that period, when that period comes, it has come. So God was not snatching or trying to teach us a lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, when he took him, because there's that divine precision. My dad's parents, my grandparents had a divine precision. Their grandparents, all these people had a divine precision. I have a divine precision. There's a day I was born, there's an X, and there's eternity.
Okay.
My kids have that. So that timeline is clearly, everyone has that 3 timelines. Before you're born,
during, and after.
And after. And those precision are well set out. And we introduced a third one before, because that's critical, because it shows that what I just said, how many people will have to be born for you to be born today. And when you think of it that way, then you start realizing, okay, and it's exactly what City had said, look, that when your time has come, that divine precision, you know, X was defined long before you were there. So it's not that someone has done, of course, something has to, like my friend said, he told me, look, something has to take you away. His dad choked.
Yeah.
And he's told me, look, my dad choked. But we say, look, something has to take you away. You know, so we will have something to say. This happened because, but the thing is this, it's a divine precision.
Okay.
It's your time must come.
Tell me,
Yeah.
before you had this life-threatening disease, were you this philosophical?
I would say that when I was in campus, my friend my roommate, in fact, he came for the book launch. We had a book launch on the 6th, just 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he told me, he used to tell me, and he reminded me, when I was in campus, he used to tell me that if I was to fall in a river, instead of screaming, I would probably remove my clothes and start taking a shower. And then also he used to come to me and then he would tell me, maybe we'll watch news. You know, there are those days culture where, you know, news was a big thing.
Yeah.
You know, 9 o'clock news and all that. We'll watch news. Sometime I will miss news. Then he come and tell me, look, did you see that accident? Can you imagine this happened to this family? Then he just reminded me what I used to tell him. My always response was, okay, Ralph, he was called Ralph. Who did you want it to happen to? It's like, okay, we're feeling bad about this. So I'm an optimist, okay? And my dad thought I'd be a lawyer. I always like reasoning things out, but I don't know whether it was philosophical, but I really believe there's certain things I really believe in. And I think I knew God in general, but I think this journey drew me closer to him and to faith and also to question a lot of things like eternity.
Actually,
I have a feeling he was philosophical even before.
He's a thinker. You see, that's the whole point. It's you can't be a philosophical if you're not a thinker. And a thinker not only questions things but seeks answers. They will just question, and they never go beyond the questioning. But somebody who questions and then seeks answers and looks not for one answer, but looks at the diversity of possibilities within that. When someone does that, you can hear that in the way they speak. That is why I asked, because that is how people become philosophical. You are not content with just one idea. You want to explore the diversity of thought processes on this particular subject. And even as you explore, even when there's a response that makes sense, even that one you will query to find out what else could have been done. So back to the treatment. You mentioned that there was something you experienced, the professionalism, the aftercare, the collaborative work that the healthcare providers had. Did you get the impression that this was not the first time they were doing this?
Yeah. One of the, you know, for my kind of the case, the cancer I had gotten, we when they did the research, you know, and we did a lot of research, I had someone actually that's their job. They do research for you know, cancer.
For a living.
For a living.
On cancer.
On cancer.
Yes.
And they did a research in the US, Europe, wherever. They found out that this specific type was very prevalent in India. So they had a lot of they had a lot of they had
a lot of experience
in treating it.
Exactly. They had a lot of experience in treating it, and that made a big difference. And that's why one of the reasons we chose them, because we felt, and I think I would encourage people to do that, to look through, because even that's not just that. Even hospitals, you find that there are certain hospitals, they are good at certain area because maybe they have certain doctors and so forth. So I would say yes, it was very clear. They had done this. The lead doctor is Dr. Suboth. He was, I would say, he was I think he had practiced for 45 years. He was 70 something. He had practiced for 45 years, so he was 70 something, I think. But he drew me to me. First of all, I was telling my wife, I was joking that look, he looked like my dad. Not, of course, he's an Indian, but my dad was not Indian. But the mannerism, his tone of voice, and those kind of things, the build and the comfort, the comforting. He listened to you. He answered with a lot of sincerity and care, and that won me to them. So they would really take time. It took 2 weeks for them to plan for our treatment, just to show you how methodical those guys are. And
did you ever find out why it was that this specific type of cancer was prevalent in India?
I first of all, why the type? So that was the first question I always try to find out. Every doctor we said, why would you get this sort of thing? Because we want to know
what are the predispositions. Yes. What predispositions this particular ailment?
Yes. So that was the first thing we tried to establish. But we could never get the right answer. The good news is it's not in the genes.
Not hereditary.
Yeah, you cannot pass it on to you. So that was good news, because my family are liking my family. The first thing they're asking, look, what is this? Is this that was the first concern. Because we did meet all the family on both sides. We did meet my siblings. We call our siblings. We call my wife's siblings, and I could see the concern. So that was the first thing we addressed. That look, this cannot pass on, in those kind of things. But to know why, the reason why, to be honest, that was very challenging, asking ourselves why. And in fact, we realized that when you ask that question why, I probably had the worst days, those days. The why brought sadness, because we felt we had no control. But our turning point, I can tell you our turning point came in when we changed it from why to why me to why the journey. So all of a sudden, maybe we could find something good. It's like, why is this journey? And that was turning point. And my friend kept asking me, and he said, look, why do you think when you said why me, you had sadness, you had bad day, you felt less strength, but when you said why the journey, it made a big difference. I never thought about it there, but then when I was writing the book, I reflected on that, and I realized, okay, when we said why me, we were victims. We were helpless. But when you said why the journey, all of a sudden it put us in it's an adventure. We're on a mission now. We can do something different, and I think that's really what made a big difference. So I would encourage you, if you're going through a tough season, why me is not a great question. It's the first question that will come, and we keep coming. Why me? Why me? Why us? Why am I in this? But if you ask yourself why the journey, and I realized even the toughest journeys can lead to deeper faith, stronger love, and a life of lasting purpose. So those moments can be defining. Those moments will come, but they can actually lead us to better things. Yeah, and one of the reasons also, I hope that anyone who go through and read the book is that they'll be able now to face challenges with faith and courage, and the priceless gift that no storm can take away. If like unconditional love, it doesn't matter what can be done to you. No storm can take that away. So if my hope is that when my children read this, when people read this, they'll be able to say, look, whatever challenge they face, they can face it with faith, with courage, and the priceless gift that no storm can take away, because they know, look, we've been through this, and God did it, and He can do it again. Yeah.
There's something you said about one of the 7 priceless gifts, nutrition, something to do with
life-giving nutrition. I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm passionate about 2 things: business and family. And for many years, I felt like they were both going in different directions. Okay, so business have been doing well. You can see I'm really focused on business, and I think I've done well on business. But families, not my family, like helping many families, I felt there was a missing part. Throughout this journey, it's actually when I realized the missing link: nutrition, life-giving nutrition. It turned out that when I was going through the journey, I said it became like work, new job. Every day, Monday you're in hospital, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, excuse me, for the first 3 weeks, my body responded very well, and I was still strong. Come the 4th week, I became very weak. First of all, because I could not eat properly. The place became very sore because of the treatment. So when I would take some bite of food, tears would fall. It was that painful. And my wife realized that now these things are not going well. So we went to see a doctor, and he said, look, he's refusing to eat. Because now eating is a painful exercise. Supposed to enjoy eating, but now it become a very expensive. But the doctor looked at me and told me, Francis, what you are doing with radiotherapy and chemo is to try, get the growth out. Like we are attacking the growth. What will heal you is the food. We need to eat. You need to eat. He said you could try shakes, vitamins, protein shakes, whatever. Every time I tried those, I'll vomit. So I had no option but to eat. Luckily, we had carried some fluff from here. Some ugali. I think I lived in ugali and chickens. So should make the ugali, then put in the soup, and then you kind of mix it.
Make it into some light porridge.
Maybe kind of like a porridge, and then I would eat. But as I took those bites, there would be pain, there would be tears. But I told myself, if this is what it takes for me to be there for my wife, for my children, I'll do it. It used to take me 3 hours to eat a meal. I would watch 2 movies.
Eating the same meal. And sometime after eating, I'll vomit. And my wife, and that's why I saw the conditional love. She would, because I was not allowed to eat because of what you're saying about when you're going through treatment, the immunity levels go down. So you cannot eat food that have stayed there. So everything has to be fresh. So what we did, she would have to make more food again. So going back, then go through the same 3-hour process again.
Go through the 3-hour process again.
So there are times you'd eat for 6 hours.
6 hours. The time always is 6 hours. But I tell you, let's look at the food thing. So the doctor said something interesting. Superfoods. You need to focus on, look at superfoods. We're like, superfoods. Superman, superfood. What's superfood? And now we started doing research what superfoods are. So it turned out that superfoods are just foods that give you multiple benefits. So you'll get vitamins. You can get minerals. You'll be able to get maybe fatty acids. You might get healthy fatty acids or fatties, okay, and then you can get fiber. It turned out, let me give you an example to illustrate this point.
Yes.
These are superfood we know, but we don't know it as superfood. Okay? Avocado.
Okay.
I know you know avocado, and probably you love avocado.
Very much.
Avocado will give you 5 vitamins, 5 minerals, healthy fats, and fiber.
All in one.
12 things in avocado.
Yes.
The vitamins are vitamin K, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin B vitamins, that's B2, B3, B5, B6, and folate. Folate is B9. Okay. And the minerals are potassium, what bananas give you. Okay. Then you have magnesium, manganese, you have copper, and the elusive iron.
Yani, this, just so that I understand.
This one fruit.
No, yeah. Oh, that's, you answered it. I was going to ask, is this a fruit or a vegetable? It's a fruit.
Yeah, it's avocado.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it has all these.
That's a superfood. So it has 12 things. 12. 5 minerals, 5 vitamins, healthy fats, and fiber. You've seen it's sort of green.
I must start eating this thing.
Yeah. So we don't know this. Let me give you another example. So many people know avocado, but they don't know it as a superfood. So once you know something as a superfood, then you start taking care of it. You start. In fact, I encourage people in the book, put at least one superfood in your meal every day. Let me give another example of superfood. This is not well known. It's my favorite. It's called moringa. Moringa can be a powder, can be leaves.
Yes.
We have it in Kenya now. It's in the stores. If you go to any store,
Ukienda Isili, it's been sold in the bucket loads.
Exactly. So moringa is there. Now you can get it almost everywhere. But let me give you an example.
What does moringa do?
Moringa give you 7 times vitamin C of oranges, 4 times calcium of milk, 4 times vitamin A of carrots, 3 times potassium banana, 2 times the protein of yogurt. When I came back from treatment, my clarity, I wasn't very clear. In fact, I thought I might even get specs. But started taking moringa.
Your sight improved?
My sight improved because there's vitamin A in there. So all I do, I have a moringa powder at home and I just put 1 teaspoon in my tea every morning. It's not hard.
Does it change the taste? Does it make it...
Initially the taste is not great.
Because unajua shida ya Wakenya ni wanasemanga kitu ni yak.
Paul, shida yangu ni kwamba mimi
City, I actually do take moringa.
I
am unlike other people. Me, I'll take flax seeds, I'll take chia seeds, I'll eat raw vegetables. Actually, to be honest, in my house, we rarely cook veggies. We only cook veggies because mugeni amekuja.
And I can see why. Your mom went through a journey.
Yes.
So you guys have some sort of a context. But I tell you the power of knowing something. Let me give you an analogy. Okay. You want to buy a red BMW. Red, for example, or a blue.
No, red is a good color.
Let me use
blue is measured. We'll not do red.
He likes yellow, but let's go with red.
So, do you know from there on,
yes,
every other car you see on the road will be a red BMW. It's like they're sent to you.
Yeah.
You know, you're driving and you're just seeing red BMW.
Yeah.
You go to the parking and there's another red BMW just parked next to you. What has happened? Nothing has changed. The traffic flow is the same. It's just your mindset has changed. And that's the power of understanding something. So once you understand this, like I like what City said, I'll start eating avocados. He just understood.
Eating avocados.
He just understood that it's a superfood. It has 12 things. So instead of taking so many tablets and all that, and you can do that, but why not eat food? And I know hypocrites. Hypocrites say that he said that let thy food be thy medicine, and let your medicine be thy food. And I agree with that 100%. My Sambuvi, I have my addition to this.
Yeah.
I believe that, some nutrition give life.
Yes.
And some nutrition take away life.
I agree.
And food is the greatest medicine, but also the worst poison. Why? You can eat harmful food knowingly or unknowingly. Can you imagine investing to buy poison and then you spend hours to cook it and eat it?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And that's why I say, look, food is the greatest medicine, but it's also the worst poison because as I said, you can actually eat it, harmful food, knowing or unknowingly. Sometimes we know it, sometimes we don't know it. And that's what I feel like, and that's why for me, my call to everyone listening and watching is at least one superfood in your meals. Okay. And we talked about, in my book, I talk about 12 superfoods. And I also believed that superfoods are underrated and they're mostly ignored. And God is so gracious that He's given us superfoods everywhere. Every region of the world, they have their own superfoods. If you go in Europe, you find kiwis. If you go to India, you find, like India, berries, nuts. There are so many things. So every region, God has given superfoods. And it would be great to see also from anyone listening to just ask yourself, what superfoods are available to me? It's just any food that can give you multiple benefits. We've looked at 2, avocado and moringa. And in my book, I talk about 12 other superfoods. But that's not the limit. It's just to start the red BMW, to just get to get you started, so that then you can do research.
Maybe you can let us know where we can get this book and perhaps at how much.
Okay, so the book is online. You can get this book from Amazon, on Amazon and also on Kindle. So Amazon, it's the book, the paperback goes for $14, $15, you can say. And then we have the Kindle goes for $4.99. Okay. Then locally, you can get it at Textbook Center. You can buy it online, or you can visit one of the stores. Any of the stores, it's trading at 3,500 shillings. Yeah.
Wait, on Kindle, you've said it's $4.99.
4.9. Actually, there's an offer now. It's actually $1 now. It's $9.9. But the offer should end in the next few days. Okay. So from March, it will be $4.99. Yeah.
All right. Any message you have for people who are currently fighting cancer?
Yeah. I want to say, look, there's hope. doctors may provide the treatment, but it's God who gives the healing. There's treatment, there's healing. And I pray to God that God will send you divine helpers, who will help you and guide you. And I know that it's possible. It's possible for you to overcome. And we realize that sometimes overcoming doesn't mean getting well. It could mean eternity. And if divine precision has happened, we realize there's that divine precision. We know that, ultimately, God purpose will prevail, or God will prevail. And obviously I sympathize with everyone going through this journey, but I do feel that there's so much option. My advice for them is also look at food. There's so much if you go to TikTok or Instagram and just type cancer foods, there's so much food and people are having very good results with food. And I think we can win. Look, one of my mission is, because cancer came to me, I'm going to fight it. One of my mission is to ensure that people understand superfoods. And I think with superfoods, we can fight this battle.
Okay.
And of course, with treatment and all that, but foods are available to everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why it's an easy, low-cost way of ensuring we go through this successfully.
All right. For the sake of Seidor and McKenna Children Foundation, how can they reach you?
Oh yeah,
if
so
you would like to be
website.
reached.
So if you go on Saido, if you go on online, the saido.com, you can be able to see us. Also McKenna, we have mckenna.org. So if you go online, you'll be able to reach us. Okay, but our offices are just from Saido. We're just in Nairobi, just next door. We actually on one Padmo. We're opposite you.
All right, sawa. You see, mimi najua hivyo, lakini kuna mwenye anasikiza ajui.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francis. This is where we come to a close as far as our conversation is concerned, and we wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you.
All right. Do stand by. The news is coming through with Winnie Maganga. Then after that, we are hosting Patrick Silili Adolwa. He is a planner and urban specialist, and we want to look at planning from a different perspective, in the education sector.
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. More than 20 people and health institutions are facing legal action over irregular payments and fake facility registrations at the Social Health Authority. The Director of Public Prosecutions has approved charges following investigations by the police in January and February. Those to be charged include private hospital owners and a council employee accused of abusing their office and misuse of digital systems. Among them are the directors of Danaba Care Hospital, Mohammed Kulo Ali and Hassan Adan Ibrahim. 3 people have been arrested after being found with over 1,000 kilograms of suspected zebra meat at a home in Gikambura, Kikuyu constituency in Kiambu County. According to Kenya Wildlife Services, the suspects were allegedly preparing to mix the meat with livestock products before it was seized by authorities. KWS confirmed that the zebras were killed in Naivasha before the meat was transported to Nairobi.
Our officers stormed into the house, and upon searching in the house, they found 6 packs of deboned meat weighing about 500 kilograms. Upon further search, they were able to also discover a fully dismembered carcass of a zebra, which was awaiting to be deboned in the same house. Now, in this one incident, our officers have managed to recover more than 1,000 kilograms of zebra meat.
22 officials from Bungoma County Assembly have been summoned by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission over alleged misuse of public funds connected to a 2019 benchmarking trip to Uganda and Christmas lighting event at the Governor's office. In a notice issued by the Commission's Western Regional Office, the officers have been directed to appear before investigators in Bungoma on different dates between today, 26th of February, and March 9th, 2026. They are expected to record statements and respond to questions as directives investigate suspected fraud and theft of public money. A key suspect in the Shakahola massacre has told the court he started doubting what was happening inside the forest when controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie claimed he was Jesus. Enos Amanya, also known as Alleluia, who has since turned state witness, was testifying before Mombasa Chief Magistrate Alex Ithuko. He told the court that he also worked as a security guard at the Shakahola camp. During cross-examination, Amanya was asked to explain the specific roles played by each of the accused persons in the Shakahola massacre.
Kuna wakati Mackenzie amesimama akasema ya kwamba mkiniangalia mimi mnaona nani? Katoa kofia akasema unaona nyewe, mnaniangalia mnaonaje? Mnaona nywele yangu nyeupe? Mimi ni nani? Akasema ni Yesu. Basi mimi mmesema vizuri, mimi ni Yesu kwa sababu Mackenzie alikufa tangu jadi. Ule mnayemuona saa hii ni Yesu.
Bill Gates has admitted he made a huge mistake by associating with the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Speaking during a town hall with staff at the Gates Foundation, Gates expressed regret that the relationship harmed the foundation's reputation. The Microsoft founder also admitted having affairs with 2 Russian women but denied any involvement in Epstein's criminal activities. Gates is among several high-profile figures named in the documents released by the U.S. Justice Department detailing Epstein's connections. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you and welcome back to Radio Generation. Our guest in studio is making me laugh because of some specific things he's saying now. Perhaps maybe one day, one time, tutawaingisha kwa hiyo joke. Lakini for today, we want to talk about planning and basically asking ourselves this question about boarding schools and if we should probably do away with them. Patrick Silili Adola is not a stranger to this studio. As a matter of fact, I think at this point, tumfungulie ofisi tu mahali hapa kando so that we can just be doing this consultation, at will. All right? So, here we go. Patrick, good morning and welcome to Radio Generation.
Good morning. I don't want to live here.
Yeah.
I want to come once in a while.
I mean, you can have an office. You don't have to use it all the time, but it can be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How so generous of you. Thank you.
Ona nakupatia ofisi na hata huku si kwangu.
I'm amazed at your generosity.
With other people's assets.
I know.
But welcome nonetheless.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk about boarding schools and what the big question about boarding schools is all about. I've actually heard of this being mentioned before, right? Someone has actually spoken about it before, like should not repurpose them, but really should we change the way we admit students into boarding schools because of, first of all, where they come from, because of their ethnicity and so on and so forth. So maybe we can start from there. Do we really need boarding schools?
Well, it's a very emotive question. I tested it on a few people before I came here yesterday. I asked some of my colleagues what they thought.
Yes.
And I knew that I was navigating a minefield from the very word go. And that for me is part of the problem, because we've been programmed to think that there can be no school if it isn't a boarding school.
Yes.
But I think we miss the point completely, because what we should preoccupy ourselves is with how to have a good school, fit for purpose school, cost effectively. And then the question that begs is, how did we get to this place with boarding schools? And one then inevitably goes back to the colonial era, when perhaps for good reasons we needed boarding schools, and they served a purpose. Schools were scarce. Students lived far, so they had to find some sort of accommodation. Kids used to walk long distances to go to school. People were poor. And so the education as a resource and the facilities were far in between. And so something had to be done to make sure that people go to school. And boarding schools made a lot of sense. So that's the route for me. But I still maintain that what we should be looking to is to provide good education within the villages, within the communities. Because education is not something you walk a long distance to find. It must be done within a community. And that is why when we design communities, there are certain basic things around which we design those communities. It's a community hall, it's a school, it's a chapel, and that is a core function of a community. So it's not just the education that we get through pedagogical processes, but that which also comes from within the community endogenically, organically. And so we miss that. Okay? So for me, yes, boarding schools were not always bad.
Yeah.
They had their time. But today, there are many reasons why they are unsustainable.
Okay.
And without being emotional, we can discuss some of the reasons why.
For example, let me just point out a few things that have been happening in our boarding schools. We have experienced riots, student unrest. We have experienced fires. We have also, like in the last week, I think 2 students have died in school. One of them is a boarder for sure, because I remember the student was taken to hospital, and then the parents were called in only for them to be told that the child had died on arrival. Now, it's a young girl. I'm just forgetting from which part of the country she was coming from, but the point is she was taken to hospital and then pronounced dead on arrival. And then after post-mortem was undertaken on the body, they found out that she had pneumonia. Actually, now the post-mortem was done yesterday, and that's when the family was given this particular report that the child had pneumonia. And I was asking myself, pneumonia is not a disease that will kill you, that will infect you today and then kill you today. You know, there's a progression as to how your body will finally given to this pneumonia. And my immediate question was, didn't the teachers notice that this child was suffering, probably having breathing difficulties? Did they assume it was just a common cold? Then there's the issue of the medical practitioners within the school, whether it's a school nurse or any other person who is a medic. Were they not able to identify this particular difficulty? So it just made me think, and I was asking myself, what if someone had intervened early enough, this child would still be alive? So again, I asked the question, the boarding schools, how are they set up? Because I've been to our boarding school before in my high school, but I never experienced these problems that we are currently seeing right now.
You barely survived. You barely survived by a whisker.
Yeah.
You described something that we must go to the root cause of. So when you describe all the things that you've described, you were not talking about education.
Yes.
Nothing you have said about
has got to do with education.
The event that took place culminating into the death of this kid, none of that, nothing about it has anything to do with education.
True.
Do you realize that?
Yes, I do.
You've spoken about inadequacy of facilities, safety, and roles and functions for which people in education are really equipped. You cannot have expected them to be nurses, to be hostel managers, to know what to do with pneumonia and so on and so forth. The school is not fitted out to deal with that kind of situation.
Yes.
And that is perhaps one of the most important illustrations of why we are not ready for boarding schools. Because, I mean, there's no way a boarding school can respond to the situation which you speak to.
Yeah.
It's not equipped. It doesn't have a hospital. Even if you look at what they call a sanatorium or a sick bay, it's just a space in a dormitory. And the school nurse, one school nurse to 1,000 students, I think it's a big mismatch. So, in fact, from a safety and infrastructure point of view, the schools are ill-equipped to deal with boarding. And if we must build boarding schools, then we must build them to include facilities that can take care of the situation that you have spoken to. And that we do not even begin to think of.
Why? Why don't you even begin to think of those?
The question is the question is yours just as it is mine, because
that is precisely the point.
Well, I mean, the thing is, when we build those schools, we just say we want people to go to boarding schools, but we do not.
Who are the people who think about this? This is really where I'm going to this. Are the people who think about these things equipped to actually adequately give thought to this process in a way that will make that so-called institution we refer to as a boarding
No, of
school?
course they're not. They're not, but they make decisions without consulting other people many times.
People who actually have the knowledge and the ability to advise them correctly.
Yes, but when people go out to make policies for education, do they invite other professionals? No, they don't.
Who are not in the education sector?
Yes, they do not invite them.
But
Okay?
that begs the question, who exactly is not in the education sector?
Everybody should be.
is not?
Everybody should be.
Yes.
I know that one time I went to Great Rift for something else, for a different meeting on devolution. And there were people, experts there from the Ministry of Education looking at matters education policy. And one of them, the late Professor Godia, was a friend of mine. And I asked him, Professor, what are you doing here? And he said, oh, we're having a policy dialogue in education. And I know I wasn't very good to him. I said, but you know, you people are always sitting by yourselves. So nothing ever changes because you never get the perspective of other people, how the education setup should be, reformed. That is a problem. And again, even when university people go to buses, they never take people from industry. So they go and speak to themselves. So every time professionals from different sectors go out there to speak about policy reforms, they never think about getting the perspective that is completely out of their purview at the moment.
Yeah, because in an ideal situation, then, if we are coming up with a boarding school or boarding school framework, then we should consider certain things such as the health of the students, health of the teachers, fire hazards, riots, and other situations that could come in. As far as the education of the children is concerned, sports. I hardly see these people, like you've said, because I've actually been to these particular kinds of gatherings, and I actually do not see any medical practitioners given their input as far as how these places should be set up.
Well, I think now that we are speaking about it, people might begin to see why we are worried about the current setup of boarding schools. And particularly when you look at the numbers, I know there are some national schools and some extra county schools with up to 2,000 students. And if you look at a school with 2,000 students, then it must have 200 teachers, then it must have a workforce of about 100 people and so on and so forth. So it's a whole village in itself. It's a huge ecosystem. But when you begin to think about the implications for management, is the principal of a school equipped to run that institution? He is not. Does he know that he needs a totally different administrative setup to be able to run two concurrent things at the same time? One is education, and the other has absolutely nothing to do with education per se. So, in fact, if you're going to have some of those boarding schools, then we must begin to think that you may need to have an administrative setup that has both people from education and people who have nothing to do with education are just administrators. You need people who are hostel managers, you need people who are psychologists and so on and so forth. To the extent that perhaps even when people think, well, we don't have outlets for psychologists, I mean, all these schools need one or two psychologists.
I believe during my time we had what was called, the person was called a peer counselor.
Yes, but he was just one of the teachers, okay?
Yes.
Because they had done a unit in psychology, you know,
Also,
they were deemed to be
when you study
adequate.
education, you will do several units of psychology.
Yes.
So you, and you are right.
Yes.
It is not as though that is your purview to be a guidance counselor, as they used to call them in an earlier time. You are a teacher like every other teacher.
Correct.
But then you're given this particular docket.
Yes.
I have, however, seen progressive schools who have employed a nurse.
Very good.
Who has also trained as
a psychologist.
Yes.
Counselor.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And somebody who specializes in youth counseling. So they have an office.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, those are people who are current with educational thinking and understand how to meet needs. Okay? The model of boarding schools hasn't changed. They were set at a time when there were certain needs that needed to be met. In an earlier time when, as Patrick has clearly put it, schools were few. Those schools were few and far between for most people. So you spend a great deal of time and energy just going to school and coming back. Yes.
Tortures.
Yeah, even if you ran, it was far.
Yeah.
Okay. A boarding school.
The distance doesn't change just because you run.
No.
No, it doesn't. But the time you take to go to school does.
Yeah, of course. Yes. But it's still far.
Well, sometimes that justifies a boarding school. You know?
So, a boarding school at that point in time made a lot of sense. And if you look at the structure, you're talking about immediately pre-independence and post. We had intermediate schools, okay? We had primary, then you had intermediate schools, and they were within a locality. The primary school was somewhere not very far, within a village, radius of around, say, 10 kilometers or so. That was not considered far. Now, an intermediate school was now further, probably some 30 kilometers away. Then there was a school you'd find in the region. You know all these schools that people know in the regions? Those were schools where all these people who came from these small places eventually ended up in secondary school. And that is the reason why if they went further and went to Makerere, which is where people went, they tended to know each other. Or if they came from that region, they tended to know each other because you all came from different places, but you collated here. Our population then was small. Now, when you talk about a boarding school and you want to meet the needs of the students, first of all you ask, what is the need of these students?
You know, I like the way you're approaching it, and as a planner, what comes to me naturally is a hierarchy of things. And when you talk about intermediate school and you talk about the immediate primary school, I immediately think about how planning provides for that, for example, because we speak about population sizes and we speak about facilities to a certain number of size of population.
Yes.
So there's territoriality and there is need to reduce distance so that people can get to facilities very easily. And that's very logical. And again, it speaks to how we have failed to look at education in a structured way. Planning for education. I know CT is a teacher.
Yes, I am.
To death. But teacher, why don't you ever complain when the system fails us? Because the system doesn't see that hierarchical structure. So much so that we begin to think about how do we have high quality day schools in our locale, so that people do not, if we went to a primary school locally and we performed well, why is it so difficult to go to the next level in a 3 kilometer distance from our house? We can. Other communities do it. In fact, any defense around this we can shoot down, because we made all the secondary schools in Nairobi boarding. They were not designed to be boarding schools. They were built for an urban space.
All the public ones.
All the public ones. Except a few.
There were few that
which were colonial.
And they were called national schools.
They were called national schools. So we can have exceptions. In fact, we can argue that in the current dispensation, we can have a space for boarding schools. We're not saying that they cannot exist.
Yeah.
But they should be few. the majority of schools, I mean, there was a Queen's High School. It's a beautiful school. What was wrong with Jamhuri High School being a day school? What was wrong with Upper Hill being a day school? Were they not 4-star, 3-star schools? They were
excellent schools, but they were day schools.
They were day schools.
Highway is it?
Highway was a day school. It was a day school.
Okay.
So, for a place like the city, it is absolutely sensible to make it a day school. A school must be a day school. We want you to live with your children. We want you to raise your children within the cultural milieu that is your neighborhood. Right? Because education is not about sequestering people somewhere and drilling them to get A's and so on and so forth and building a totally different culture. And that's what we are saying. So there's a way in which the sector planning has failed because it's not gone by the hierarchies that it's supposed to.
You know, the thing you say gets to the heart of the matter in this sense. It's strange though, because the vast majority of people who are high up in the political hierarchy in this country, the vast majority were former teachers. They were teachers, they taught. What was available at university level for most Africans in those early days was education, or you could study animal husbandry.
Yeah.
What we now call veterinary science. Okay? Yes.
Why do you put it that way? Why do you want to denigrate?
No, I'm actually stating.
But he can't help it.
He can't help it. That's part of his humor.
But that was at Makerere.
Yeah.
The Royal Technical College, which is Nairobi University, did teach engineering and some of these technical subjects. But the point I'm trying to make is this. When people who chose to be educators end up in that space, they are people who take the energy and time to ensure that things work well. But on this I'm actually quite biased, and I may even sound illogical, but allow me to be a little illogical. When the government seeks to increase the number of teachers they are training, and those who are offered a teacher training course are those who have failed to get what they wanted to do in the first place, you already have a problem. Because you're introducing an individual into an environment that requires more than their full attention, and they are there because they are disgruntled to begin with and they didn't get what they wanted. So you already have a problem. Now these aren't people who are going to give the time and energy to this particular profession as you should. The difference is clear when you look at some of the older teachers who taught people like myself who wanted to teach. They taught very differently. He would testify to what I'm saying. People who wanted to teach, you knew, even as a student, you knew this teacher, there's a word you use in your generation, it's called passion. They are passionate about their work, they're passionate about their students, they are concerned. And that's why many of them are remembered long after.
They are naturals.
Yes. And the students understood, and the teacher was respected. Now, once that particular ecosystem changed, and you had these people who really wanted to do something else, and then you forced them to teach, Haki, that person is going to teach badly.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is after that cycle of getting teachers simply because they couldn't get what they wanted, a 10-year cycle occurred. That's when we started having schools being burnt, libraries being burnt, and all these nonsensical things. Because when you teach and you know your students, you know who the troublemakers are. You know the people who are given to the psychopathy. You know the sociopath. You know your students, and you know how to manage them.
But can you imagine the crisis that is in the education sector, for example, today? I mean, you wake up every morning to a new crisis. You wake up every morning to a new crisis. It's either there are no books, it's either there are no facilities, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. It's either that the model has changed so drastically, and nobody has been prepared for that. And so between that and building boarding schools, because our topic is boarding schools, so where do we put the emphasis? Because we have contested resources. We don't have so much money to put in every other place. Why is it that then we give priority to boarding schools when we could have used that money to put up pedagogical facilities, laboratories, better classrooms. Sometimes for day facilities, the number of ablution, the requirements for ablution blocks and water needs are a little lower. So what we put in boarding schools, we could actually put in more day schools, more quality day schools within walking distance, whether it is in urban places or in rural places. And for me, that is one of the reasons that I think we should be rethinking the boarding school and thinking of a high quality day school. There was Kisumu Boys High School. It was always a day school.
It's now a boarding school.
It's now a boarding school. There was Kisumu Day School. It was a day school, very good day school. Everybody passed through there. Why would it become a boarding school? What's the overarching reason that we have to have boarding schools?
So it would have been, let's even go with the Kisumu boys example. So instead of building dormitories, let's just increase the number of classes, then hire more.
Schools. Let us put. We cannot. You see, there's a carrying capacity, just like a bus. There's a carrying. You don't want to be in a school with 2,000 students, my friend.
No.
It's unmanageable. So I think we cannot create schools in one location. We talked about the boarding school was because there were schools far and in between. Now we need to increase the density, and the distance, reduce the distances. It means that we need to provide facilities closer home. Day schools, high quality day schools like Aquinas, like Starehe, like whatever, within proximity, within walking distance.
Yeah, okay.
Well, have you ever observed with regards to estates that we have in the city of Nairobi or some of the bigger towns which were the headquarters of provinces, planners did this, they did their work. Schools matched the dwelling areas that people lived in.
Absolutely.
You found a primary school within walking distance of a certain radius. You went to another place, it was the same. Meaning, there was always a school near you. Some it was nearer, but it was not far. And that's why most of us, if you talk to us about primary school, we all walk to school.
Yeah.
We have in planning the term primary neighborhood, which means that's where everything begins.
Yes.
So, and then you have the secondary. And the schools must also be structured around that urban planning,
thinking, yes.
Thinking and modeling.
So what we are saying...
Kisumu boys.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And I agree with you because... When I was in Nairobi school, the population was about 1,000, if I'm not wrong. Then now in the KCSE results that were released recently, niliona form 4 peke yake walk over 800. So I'm sympathizing with the teachers that I left there, Mr. Maina, Mr. Wawero. I don't know how they're handling that.
They are listening.
I hope they are. I'm honestly trying to figure out how they handle those numbers.
There's a lazy approach that the employer of choice in this country was the government. In terms, you would get a house, you could get a car, all the things that people look for in the private sector. Okay? Teachers were respected, and the things that I'm speaking of, as a teacher, you could get a car loan, all these things that other people get. Something happened, and this matrix changed.
What happened?
You see, the countries that we speak of and we admire, if you look at the educational policy...
You're talking about Singapore?
No, I'm not talking about Singapore.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about other countries.
Okay.
But you like Singapore, so let's reference Singapore.
No, the president told us to look at Singapore.
Right, he did, didn't he?
Yes.
Now, if I were him, I wouldn't look too closely at Singapore because there are other issues within Singapore that his government may have a problem dealing with.
Okay.
Yes, because... Anyway, what you then find was something simple. The focus on the educator. Countries that made sure that their best are the ones who ended up as educators. Meaning, to be a teacher, you really needed to get a sort of qualifications. We know in this country, if you want to be an engineer, you want to be a planner, you want to be a doctor, those ones. That should have been the requirement for teachers. So
and it should be. It should remain there.
Yes.
Because you are... preparing people. You are building the civil service. You're building the human resource of the country.
Of the country.
So you need the best person to prepare you in that space.
That resource, my friend, and the responsibility. That responsibility is huge. So you actually need your very best. And even the process of training the teachers, you don't just...
It's rigorous.
It's rigorous. You get your degree, you get your education, then you get something else. By the time you enter classroom, Chief, you are prepared, but they are also remunerated well.
That's where the problem lies.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's where
they've gotten the priorities right. Here, it's inversed.
So a teacher is not paid any less in Scandinavia or in Japan because he's a teacher.
No.
I think there's a living wage that everybody must, sort of level out at. And then there are extras, and then there are other packs, that insurance and so on and so forth, that remove teachers out of these vulnerabilities. Yeah. And that's an important thing to do.
Yeah. So now how then do we get back to that? Because if my beloved Nairobi school has all these thousands, or maybe there are over 1,000 by now for sure. If we're having all this, then now it has taken me to figure out the kind of resources I left there, the playing fields. Hizo vitu sasa ziko constrained.
Absolutely.
And I don't think now people are getting quality education, quality sports, and so on and so forth.
Yes, that's a second problem, CT, if you allow me. That is a second problem because we have sacred sites. Those schools you're talking about. There's Lenana, there's Nairobi School, there's Alliance High School, there is
Lance Girls High School.
Lance Girls High School, there is Highlands, Moy Girls, and Limuru. Right? So everybody who goes to school in Kenya, every kid in primary school in Kenya sees those beacons. They don't see any other beacons. Yet, those were colonial things. So what happened to us? We've been here for how long? Since 1964.
We are now 62 years.
So why don't we have 62 new national schools if we were doing just one every year for 62 years? Why shouldn't we have a national school per county? That speaks to the lack of foresight in planning, forward planning, and so on and so forth. But again, you can have a national school. Then you must do something called branding, because if you're going to come from Nairobi Primary School and you have to go to Sawagongo, then you must find some branding that can allow people. And I say this in all seriousness, because there are universities with names that actually discourage people. But you're
actually very right.
So we had this conversation with one person in the higher education sector, and he thought that we were just fooling around. And we said to him, the problem with you people in high offices is you don't listen to other perspectives.
You don't have a culture of listening.
You don't have a culture of listening, because you
have a culture of telling people where to get off.
You tell people off. Yes. You're always in the habit of telling people off because you're the big honcho. You say, but look, we're now complaining about national schools which cannot attract kids. It's all to do with branding. Yes. Muga.
No, I'm laughing. I'm thinking of a kid brought up in Nairobi.
Yes.
Then you're being taken to Sawagongo. God Almighty. It is actually a very good school. Let me just get this thing right.
With all the equipment.
It is a really, really good school.
And it has always been.
But the culture shock guy.
Unafika hapo unaambia Professor Bitoko's answering questions in Parliament, I think it was yesterday, and part of the conversation was around exactly what you've said, these national schools, and then now we are lacking capacity in other schools because people do not want those other schools.
Yes.
Everyone is insisting on going to now the C1 schools like in Alliance and Nairobi and Lenana, and unfortunately now those capacities are overwhelmed. But you've asked a very good question. Since 1964, it's been over 60 years later. And I like doing this thing that CT always disagrees with. Me, I always look for someone to blame. Who should be blamed? Because we someone has got to someone needs to take responsibility. Is it because you see government is now, kuna watu wengi wanaingianga wakitoka kwa serikali, but someone has got to take responsibility. Who is it? Who are we blaming for this?
No, I think we've reached a point in time. I used to be very radical in my approach to things, but today I am more inclined towards public policy dialogue, just persuading people to see things differently, because we've come a long way. We've made many mistakes, and people make mistakes, and they have to learn from the mistakes they make. And if anybody cares, anybody is listening from the Ministry of Education, we must do things differently. Sometimes if you want people to hear you, you may need to speak to them softly, and also implore them to do their work better, so that the outcomes can be better. And so all these beautiful schools with beautiful infrastructure, we may want to persuade them to look for good names for them, so that parents are encouraged to take their kids to those schools. For example, if Sagongo is a national school, we may want to say, let us call it Siaya County School. Okay, it's not a bad name. I mean, it's a name it's a county name.
Pride to the county. Yes.
Yeah, it brings pride to the county. So people want to go to Siaya County School, but they may not want to go to Onjiko High School. You know, but Onjiko High School has very good facilities.
You've been to these places, eh?
Yes,
I have. I speak from reality.
And those are serious schools that very serious people went to.
Yes,
because if you came from that Nyando area, Onjiko is where you
come from.
The intermediate I'm speaking about was Onjiko. Then you went to Maseno.
Yes,
if you excelled.
Now you see, Maseno is actually a good name, and it's a name that when you're told you're going to Maseno, you'll be like, okay, it's a good place to go to.
No, it has history.
That's the whole point. These many of the schools you speak of are former missionary schools, right? And they have a name because they were the places that people could access education in those early days. And people who later made something of their lives and were known.
Yes.
So with the fame of the individuals comes the fame of the school.
Absolutely.
Yes, because you say so and so went to this school. Some people take it a bit far, but there it is.
Again, who is to blame? And you've said that we approach it from a policy perspective. Okay, clearly policy is made at government level. You've said that also it's difficult to have conversations with some of these folks because they don't listen. So what will happen? Will 62 years again pass by, and then we have this or rather people in that time will have this very conversation?
Yes, but again, conversations around education are never held around the subject that we're discussing today. They will be about books, they will be about CBC, they are seldom ever around infrastructure and so on and so forth. And looking back to devolution, there are issues and problems, challenges that have to do with the way devolution structured things. In the quest to do something about schools in a devolved system, there were arguments about whether schools should be in the national government or should be in the counties, and people who had their own interests ensured that most school issues remain at the national government. But there is a sense in which there should have been concurrency of functions between county and national, not just to the level that counties only do CBA or whatever, care. The infrastructure bit could, to a large extent, have been taken care of by counties and communities. And so the policy dialogue that we need to be looking at is looking at the rudimentary infrastructure today in schools. If you do an audit of school infrastructure today in Kenya, you'll be embarrassed to be a Kenyan, because there are still mud-walled schools. There are still schools without ablution facilities.
There are schools without doors or even windows.
There are schools without doors or windows, or even roofs. There are schools 64 years, since 1964 today, more than 60 years. We still have schools in such conditions. Who can we blame? It's systemic. And it calls for...
Actually, if you want to take on this topic of blame, there's a gentleman called Abdullah Alas.
Yes.
Abdullah Alas said something some years ago when I first met him. that thing has stuck with me. And he said, according to him, and I agree with him, he said, our problem is the thinkers are ignored. The people who actually take the time to understand, think through issues are ignored. When they say, it's not that we don't have them. No, we think we don't have them, but we actually have them, but they're ignored. The people whose voices are heard are the non-thinkers.
Yeah.
Because a country has a plan. If you're talking about economic development, there's a plan. If you talk about the education sector, there's a plan. This is where the country wishes to go to, and the human resource needs to be planned for and need to be prepared in this way. This is what we need for the schools. This is what we need for primary. This is what we need for ECD. There has to be a master plan for all these things, because if you're going in a certain direction, you must have the human resource to take you there.
Absolutely. You speak to the word master plan, you need an education master plan.
Yes.
You cannot have an education plan that is fluid. You don't know whether next year somebody will not go to another place and come back with a CBL model or a CBT model. You can never be sure. It's always in flux. That is problematic. So speaking to an education master plan, which is geared towards, there has to be a reason why we have education. At the end of this education, what are the outputs and what are the outcomes desired? What futures are we speaking to? Seldom is this topic ever given that depth of thinking. Seldom. It's politicized highly.
Yes.
It is for immediate impact and so on and so forth. It is about distribution of books or what, and it's about CDF. Why would members of parliament be building schools? Ask me another question. Why would members of parliament, did you hear me?
Yes.
Members of what?
Parliament.
Why are they doing executive work? Building schools?
Okay.
There has to be an authority in a country like this that builds school development infrastructure.
Yeah, because that's
authority.
That's how you'll find a school in this constituency is very different from.
Of course, there are no standards anymore. Yet public works
county
does actually have standards for schools.
Actually,
It does.
there are laid down processes and procedures as to what a school should be like. Size of a classroom, the number of students in that classroom. Okay, all these things. When I asked the question of, do you see, for instance, in a town, a city like Nairobi, where the schools are situated, every area that has a name has a school.
Have you been to Harambe? Do you know a place called Harambe in Buruburu? There's a small estate, very nice.
Yeah.
You know, these days people don't see those kind of estates because they see 20-story buildings.
Maybe,
If you go to Harambe Primary School, you see what a modern primary school in Kenya should be like. And that school was built 50 years ago. Harambe Primary School, beautiful public school. Then you come and see the ones that are being put up by members of parliament. It's a misnomer that members of parliament should be building schools, because they will not
do you know,
build to the standards. It's none of their business.
Do you know where the rains are beating us? Okay. They were government schools. They always were. In central Kenya, they woke up and realized this education these guys are giving us don't work for us. So they started independent schools. Then there were church-based schools that certain faiths and the people who congregated around that faith started putting up. Now, what would happen over time is that the government would take over these schools. So you find the school is referred to, say, like an assisted school. Their terminology. Okay? There's a PTA school, meaning the parents teach, the locality.
Now you're in the history, because the word assisted, government-assisted schools.
Yes.
Those were the terminology.
Yes. So eventually the government would take over, and even if it was a faith-based school, the standards were the same. It's not as though you had your faith-based standards. No. Faith ni yako, lakini school ni ya serikali. Okay? Where the problem now began, the government stopped taking that keen interest in doing what they're supposed to do.
So that's when
that's the crux of the matter.
They stopped. They actually stopped. Minimal effort. You wouldn't hear of the government putting up new schools.
Yes, but when members of parliament are doing the work of the executive, don't you think that we have a very serious problem?
We do. The problem began before even the CDF issues.
Agreed. Agreed.
I personally like the CDF, but that's not the story for now. I personally like the CDF. Okay? It's a lovely crutch. You see, the thing is this. If you look at what it is that the NMS did in Nairobi. Forget the politics around it. What was reported as what Dr. Oluga did with reference to hospitals. It was the first time in a very long time that one heard of hospitals being built. First time in a very, very long time. Whether they followed a plan that had been there, I don't know. But the hospitals that were built, and you can actually go and see them. Now, there are roles that the national government is supposed to perform and fulfill. School is one of them.
It's a national government function.
It's a responsibility. With a growing population, which they know full well, they have data to tell them at which rate we're growing. All these things, whether it's health facilities, whether it is schools, we are supposed to build them, we being the government, to meet the needs of these populations. Okay?
Yes.
Not to suddenly have 80 students in a class which is meant for 40. Haki, very little learning is going to take.
80. Kuna pali tuliambiwa hapa tu 200.
You know that one? It's desk, the desks zinashikana, and you have to walk over desks to go and
get to your seats.
Now, if schools were built, or you look for schools which had the compound, and suddenly you cut it into half, a secondary school is built on one side. And I'm thinking, that compound was meant for the expansion of that school.
So that's problematic because schools have standards for land use, and schools, in planning, schools are separated because secondary schools have their own land requirements.
Yes.
Primary schools have their own land requirements. Universities require
ECD has their own needs for
and 100
land, yes.
acres. ECDs have their own. So when I talk to the absence of a structured approach in education planning, we must have new sites for those schools. Even if we must have boarding schools, say one extra county boarding school, that's okay. Let's have it in a plan, okay? And say we shall have national schools, which will be boarding schools. We shall have extra county schools, only so many, which will be boarding schools. But we shall have an infrastructure standard to die for.
Yeah.
And we shall build them. If today we are not prepared, I think we should begin to think about the possibility of a school construction authority, because we need to standardize things. Otherwise, we will have all these mongrels. Everybody
and the disparity will continue.
And the disparity will continue. And you will have schools national schools with pit latrines. You think I exaggerate?
No.
Even in Nairobi, schools in Nairobi have pit latrines.
Yeah.
Now, what does that speak to in terms of boarding schools? Do we have safe facilities for kids in boarding schools? No, we don't. So we need also to have a system of auditing and monitoring all these things. There has to be a department that is charged with monitoring and inspecting and maintenance and so on and so forth, because that's the level. We are in the 21st century, and these are not far-fetched notions. You know, there are things that the ministry must begin to concern itself with, because otherwise then boarding schools are traps. Boarding schools are dangerous for kids at the moment. They are not equipped to house 2,000 kids. That's a disaster in the waiting.
I remember last year there's a school that went on strike, and one of the reasons actually they went on strike is because they lacked enough toilets, and the ones that were available were actually the pit latrines, and they were saying, Bwana, this is unsustainable. But now, I'm still on the issue of master plan, and we from what I'm hearing is like there was a master plan at one point, but it's just gathering dust somewhere. Because if I look at, again, I went to Nairobi school. So if I look at Nairobi school, then I have, of course, visited other schools like Lenana, Mary Hill, and so on and so forth. And I could tell there was some kind of plan when they came up with these particular spaces, these particular schools. Well, they were built by the colonialists, and then the government took over. But the point is, there was a plan. So is it that, again, someone just ignored that plan, or that plan is no longer viable in 2026?
Actually, it is what superseded what or which. Populism in politics superseded everything else.
That's why we have members of parliament building schools.
Yes.
Let me repeat again.
Yes.
Populism in politics superseded everything.
It's a very fundamental point you make, CT. Populism. Schools, education facilities, preparing futures, human resource, are not things that should be left to populism. They should be left purely to strategy and to plan. And you said it so easily that somebody might underestimate its importance. When we start building schools on the basis of popularity, then we miss the point completely. We should build schools for a purpose, not so that we can have our legacy projects and so on and so forth. Once schools are politicized, once facilities of such importance and magnitude are politicized, then we are in a very bad place. Then we will actually perpetuate mediocrity, and that is what has happened.
Yeah.
If you look at how settlement schemes are planned, I'm giving this as an example because I live in a settlement scheme myself. You will find that spaces for all these things are always provided. So you'll find schools within, as I said, a certain radius. Moroni township to Tamu is some 5 or 6 kilometers. But in between those 4 or so kilometers, there are, I think, 3 primary schools. Beginning with Moroni, somewhere in between there's a place called Tonde Primary School. So meaning, it's as people can, within that 4 kilometer radius, very many people can access those schools very easily.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then there are the secondary schools that then follow.
There is a ratio.
Yes.
There is a ratio.
Yes.
Primary schools to secondary schools.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Now, the plans exist. When I talk about the populism of politics, I'm talking about expediency, where, and this is where the thinkers come in, or the lack of thinkers, or the absence of paying heed to what thinkers have. We are not talking about something that is extremely important to do. No, we are not. We are not talking about things that require some esoteric knowledge. No. It's actually fairly simple. There is a need, there is a population, and there's the role of the national government and how this need can be met. It's really not that complicated. But why politics comes in is because favoritism follows soon after. And that's where you have discussions and things like siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. And siasa mbaya meant you're questioning the government. How can that possibly be siasa mbaya? That's siasa mzuri. Because when you hold leaders to account, that's when they do what they're supposed to do.
I just love what you said, because the point about government is supposed to be neutral. Government is not supposed to see people in terms of tribes or those who don't pay tax or those who vote or so on. So government sees populations, government sees resources, government sees things at a very global level. And therefore, when it sees 2,500 people, it thinks there has to be a school. Right? When it sees 5,000 people, then it sees a magnitude of facilities that are required in a space.
Yeah.
Government is supposed to be a programmed robot. Okay? It knows that that there is something required for 2,500 people, and there's a set of things that it must do. That's government. It's not supposed to be emotional. Government can't be emotional. How is it possible that government can be emotional? Okay? So I hear what he's saying, and we need to recalibrate ourselves and say, look, you cannot sell schools as politics. You cannot sell medical facilities as politics. You have an obligation to supply them. Okay? As government. And you derive your legitimacy by doing things that are required in your national plan. And you do have such a national plan in which you have said you're going to do these things. So doing them does not come from being exhorted to do what you're supposed to do. Okay? And I think that explains some of the problems we have with the imbalances in how schools are supplied, which ones become national schools, which ones get funding and which ones don't get funding. And that creates a lot of imbalances in the country. And I think that's undesirable.
Africa is not the only place that we are having this population growth. It's obviously happening in other parts of the world, but why is it that we usually see these problems very prevalent this side of the globe?
Why? What sort of people are we, really? Because that is the question that we ask. Because for this to happen in this time and age, and with the human resource that we have, equipped, knowledgeable.
Yeah.
When asked what people are we, we're not necessarily an educated people. What is it that makes us who we are? Are we really cognizant of what it is that is our responsibility so long as we're alive on this planet and in this space, and what it is we need to do for posterity? Because if you look at the thinking, and again our politics comes in, it is short-sighted.
Because whenever I read headlines about education, and especially the ones that are negative, I only see them on this continent. Elsewhere, I just see progressive stuff happening.
No, there are problems there as well.
But ni venye si kama za hapa.
No, zetu ni nyingi.
Zetu bana, ati sasa tunashindwa tu kutengeneza choo.
Zetu ni nyingi.
You know,
boarding schools.
We are 50 years old. When I was doing Konza, some people said, "Oh, you're just doing a project that is dead. When is it going to come off stream?" and so on and so forth. Then, in my indignation, I would ask them, "Have you ever gone back to your secondary school, where you studied? Where you studied, and you keep on referring to Nairobi School, and
yes.
How many new buildings have been put up at Nairobi School in the last 50 years?
In the last 50 years?
Yes.
Wow. Maybe one or two more dormitories.
Absolutely. That's who we are. We don't build. We don't improve. We don't create new things. We only glorify the colonial structure. Okay. Even in cities, we only want to go and build things in Kilimani, which is an existing place here, or whatever. This is the place we are.
Yes.
But why don't we create new Kilimani?
Why don't we create new cities?
Why don't we create new cities? Why don't we create new schools? Brand new, schools, branded schools. What are the newest branded schools in Kenya? The likes of Alliance. Which ones? Let's count 10 of them.
Most of the schools that are branded are private. If you look at schools,
talking public schools,
private. Of course, you will count several, but public. Sorry,
but that's what I'm trying to say. If all I can look at is the private, it means there is none that I can speak of in the public sector.
Yeah.
I'm sure they exist, but I don't know them.
They do. There are some very beautiful schools in Nyanza I've seen, and I have used them to attack, to incite people in my community to do that. There is a school. It's not Kanga. There is a school in South Nyanza called Something Girls. It's done very beautiful infrastructure. They probably just need branding. But that school was founded in 1975. And it has done marvelous things in terms of infrastructure. And you can see that even in this gloomy space, I think there are examples of people who've done a marvelous job trying to improve school infrastructure, all odds notwithstanding. And that means that it is possible for people to deliberately go out there, to create schools that are deserving of the populations that they for which they are leaders.
Patrick, thank you so much. Here is where we come to a stop as far as today's conversation is concerned. But like I told you, ofisi yako tutafungua tu hapa hivi. Then let's continue with this one. I will stop using blueprint now. Going forward, I'm going to talk about master plan. I think that's a better way to look at things. Karibu tena sana. See you next time, where we are saying kwaheri for now, but kesho Friday 6 a.m. we shall be right here.
Asante.
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The government says it is strengthening the capacity of healthcare workers in the fight against cancer. Health Ministry PS Dr. Ouma Oluga says 400 million Kenya shillings has been set aside this year to train health